that one. That head jar mixed up with that one. How did I dodge that? Oh, I hopped on the snake way too early. Well, something tells me I needed that health. That guy once on the first jump, and not enough on the second jump. Only not even a second better than my awful PB. Well, Snake Man Split will forever remain free. It's just unbeatable, even though there's like hundreds of seconds to save. Hello? You wanna shoot? I can't even press the shoot button at the slide and slide at the same time. I don't even know what I meant to say. Like, you can't shoot and slide at the same time in this game. I'm just forgetting what rooms are in this game. Come on. I'll rock your body, I'll rock your mind. Perfect. Yeah. Get it back. Good. That was a really good fight. Gold split! Great improvement over my awful PB. Get out of the lava. While you undoubtedly need a bath after all these runs, lava is not the place to do it. back when that used to work. Needleman was cooperating. I wasn't. I just shot like several magnets off to the right. There was a spider on the wall over there. Mega Man is afraid of spiders. That's why Spider-Man has never been in a Mega Man game. Did you know that? True story. Yeah, I jumped off the box right there. Freaking Rush Coil, oh my gosh. Dr. Light needs to stop reusing robot assets. Give me a different dog for Jet, a different dog for Coil. Jump high for me. There you go. You too. Oh, what a broom. Oh, they hooking me up. You gotta tell them what to do. They may or may not oblige. Hey, I dodged the hairball. Ooh, big health. It's like I never got hit at all. It's like I was concerned about running out of Pounce's bite. I mean, look how low my needle's gonna be. Look how low my energy's gonna be in it. You saw how low it was? Why have I never tried actually jumping up there to kill that thing with Atrocious Blade? Can you believe that was still a time save? can happen? Apparently that can happen as well. How did I ever figure that thing out? Because I can't do it for anything. It's impossible to save time in that level. There's so many glasses over here. Will you get down in the hole? Oh my goodness. I'm gonna die. Oh, might still die though. What? Why does he not die? Like, what am I doing wrong? I guess it's because I shot too much in it at the beginning of the battle. Is that really it, though? It might be, now that I think about it. Now I can't even press left. Oh, what are you doing? That's what I wanted to see, the 3-cycle top man. So I kept shooting him while he was invincible. Would you believe that's actually a time save? As I didn't mess up the death gauntlet.
Holy moly. That guy did not want to take hits.
He was also matrixing me.
Ow.
This guy. What are you sliding for? Kill the boss. Oh my gosh. Accidentally pressing down. even though I have no problem getting them. Alright, sliding, don't fail me now. Almost slid too early. That would have not been funny. What? Oh my gosh. Ringo is hopping to the middle of the screen again. What is this fight? Oh my gosh. I need to just pull up a video on YouTube just killing Crash Man 100 times really quick. Stop shooting to the right! Oh my gosh. Really intended. Long one cycle. You taught me how to mash. Oh, got the frame perfect jump. Totally brushed that spike too. Reminder that I showed you how to get that one up last time. Oh, I keep getting hit by that top. Oh! Snatch rushed it out of there. I promise it works. I like that last hit that Mega Man takes right before Skyler is like, Mega Man, look out! This is not hard enough. Ooh, he tried to snow cone trick me. Oh my gosh. My heart's racing now. What is this level though? I got stabbed while in Senpu. If you slide, you won't get hit. Oh, he just gave it to me. Happy to oblige him. Gold split! Alright, Needle Man. I don't need that. I will get it from Top Man, though. A whole minute! Oh my gosh. Time was lost due to getting more Senpu. And let's get stung a whole bit, so our allergies will flare up during the final battle. Will you slide? Don't it? Oh my gosh. Oh, get out of that hand. That is called the E-Tank law. I used an E-Tank so that I didn't take damage, because if you need to use an E-Tank and you use an E-Tank, you don't actually take the damage to get killed. However, if you don't use the E-Tank, you will take damage and you will die. That's my excuse. Technically deathless, but I sort of count E-Tanks as death. Or do I? Now is the period of the game where I think back to all the stupid stuff I said during the run. I think I said something stupid about not being able to shoot and slide at the same time, and then be like, yeah, you can't do that in any Mega Man game, hardly. Except maybe the X series. But you don't actually slide in the X series, you dash. I'm sure there's a Mega Man spin-off where you can shoot and slide at the same time. At any rate, I think I'm done with Claw for now. Just wanted to get a good deathless run. Maybe I'll pick up Double Jumper. There's no one playing that now. At least I haven't seen anyone play it. I also got to take off in an hour plus, do some work, do some reading, do some work reading and some read working. Alright.